At last, the Lord of the Rings of Power is here, and you've seen it. But
haven't you ever wondered what else is out there?
well, of course you have, and it's fine to watch other shows. It's not cheating on Lord of the Rings of Power to find other shows that are like Lord of the Rings of Power. And here are 10 great shows that I think you'll love if you love Lord of the Rings of Power.
Excuse me, yeah, me. Are you going to keep saying the Lord of the Rings of Power every time? Or can you just say Lord of the Rings now? Because it's becoming a bit tiresome, if I'm honest.
Oh, great, you're here. Let's watch a bit of Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power. Hello and welcome to Screen OD, a channel for people who love TV, movies and streaming. My name is Tim. I'm an editor and a journalist who has been writing and talking about the entertainment industry for 15 years now. Right, we're going to start our list at number 10, which is the best place to always start a top 10 countdown. This is the 10th best show for people who love Lord of the Rings. See, I didn't say Rings of Power, and I'm not going to say it anymore. At number 10, it's The Wheel of Time.
Swear your oath, Moraine Sedai.
I swear to speak no word that is not true, to make no weapon with which one person may kill another, and never to use the one power as a weapon.
This is definitely one for a thrifty fantasy fan. Now that's quite hard to say because it's also on Prime Video. So if you're looking for lots of history, lore and a fantasy realm to explore, The Wheel of Time is definitely one that you should put on your list. I'm putting it on my list now. At number 9 we have Foundation over on Apple TV+.
When I was a child at the edge of the galaxy, I heard stories about a man who could forecast the future.
Now this is science fiction more than high fantasy. However, if you are a fan of the epic proportions of Middle-earth and the fact that it spans long time periods and takes you on journeys that are much bigger than just those of the character, this is a show that will appeal to you. Yes, if you like LOTROP, then you're going to love Foundation. I can't believe we've got it down to just that. LOTROP.
I don't agree with any of your choices, mate.
Now, why am I not surprised by him? However, if you have suggestions of great shows that you think Lord of the Rings fans will want to watch, leave them in the comments below. In at 8, we have a brand new show straight off the TV printing presses. It's House of the Dragon over on HBO, which is, of course, the long-awaited prequel to Game of Thrones.
War is afoot.
Now, this show, you can't help but make comparison with Lord of the Rings because of the fact that they've come out at the same time on different channels and they're going to have very similar fan bases. Now, House of the Dragon is, of course, very different. It's not based on Tolkien. It's based on George R.R. Martin's works. However, if you are interested in an expansive world of Westeros and beyond, lots of history, lots of lore, lots of mythical creatures, then this is a show that is certainly one for you to try. Perhaps a curveball here at 7, but Stranger Things is one of the biggest shows that Netflix has ever made.
You've broken everything.
And it's more than just science fiction. This is a show that is steeped in myth, in mystery. And as the seasons go on, more and more of that develops and more of the universe around Hawkins and around the Upside Down has to be explored. There are indeed shades of Tolkien in some of this storytelling. And as we approach the final season of Stranger Things, if it's something you haven't watched yet, you certainly should be catching up. It's all there on Netflix to watch right now. At number 6, we are moving over to Netflix for The Last Kingdom.
What is it? Ships. I saw them first from the beach.
What ships?
Things.
Based on the books of Bernard Cornwell. Now, this isn't high fantasy like Middle-earth. This is a historical medieval drama set around the 9th century in England and Scandinavia. It has Saxons, it has Vikings, it has power struggles, it has great costumes. If those are things that sound like they will appeal to you, then I think you're going to like them. At number 5, we have what is not just the biggest fantasy TV show of the last few decades, but one of the biggest TV shows ever, a cultural phenomenon.
I, Eddard, of the House Stark, Lord of Winterfell and Warden of the North, sentence you to die.
I saw what I saw. I saw the White Walkers.
You understand why I did it?
He was a deserter.
Game of Thrones really is at the top of the pile when it comes to fantasy television, and this is a show that has a huge expansive world, as we've talked about, that is now being extended into prequels, and I'm sure we'll have sequels and all sorts to come. This is a show that if you haven't seen and you've just watched Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, then you must go and watch all of. Binge it now because it's fantastic.
Don't know about that ending though, not sure about that.
Oh, and of course you can join that debate too. Just a quick reminder that if you're enjoying what you're seeing, please do hit that like button and consider subscribing to Screen OD for all the best content around TV, movies and streaming direct to your feed. The Witcher is something that has gone through evolutions from short stories to cartoons and animations to video games before it's got to Netflix as an epic fantasy series starring Henry Cavill.
I've heard tales of your kind, Witcher.
If you like mythical worlds and mythical creatures and you like battles between good and evil, then this is one for you. Now, it's not all quite as step back as Middle-earth is in Lord of the Rings, but it is definitely compelling fantasy television for anyone who loves this genre. At number 3, we have Shadow and Bone, which has monsters and mythical forces.
You're safe now.
This is a show that's not gone down the traditional high fantasy path of being set in a kind of medieval Europe style environment. This is an Imperial Russian kind of backdrop, but there's lots of technology at play as well. There's kind of parts of it that are almost close to steampunk. This is an interesting, fascinating take on the fantasy genre, and one that you must go and watch if you like Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. I've said it again. At number 2 is The Sandman, and it's yet another one that is on Netflix. I don't know how they've turned out like that. They just have.
Tonight, we will achieve what no one has even attempted. We will summon and imprison death.
Now, this one is from Neil Gaiman, and it's based on his beloved work. Now, he is without a doubt one of the great fantasy writers of the modern age, and I'm sure, like all of those, has been inspired by the works of Tolkien. Now, this is a work that is absolutely laced with myth, with lore, and has fantasy going through it like a stick of rock. There is very little doubt that if you like Lord of the Rings and you've just watched it, that you will not like this series over on Netflix. So why not give it a try? And at number 1, it's His Dark Materials, which is from Philip Pullman.
I set out for the north some 12 months ago, and this is the first of the discoveries I made. A myriad of worlds, of which the Magisterium controls only one.
Now, this is work that hasn't had the time, perhaps, to become as famous as Tolkien's have over the decades, but Pullman is certainly one of the great fantasy writers of the modern era, if not one of the greatest of all time. Now, this is, like Lord of the Rings, family-friendly stuff. This is, like Lord of the Rings, based on a world that seems to expand, and this is epic storytelling of the greatest degree. So I think this is the one that is number 1 on my list for anyone who has just watched Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, and is looking for something to watch next. So if you haven't seen it yet, go watch His Dark Materials. Thanks for watching. That's your 10. That's what I promised you. Like and subscribe. I'll see you again next time.